Y'all can hear that, right?
Oh, yeah.
They hopping right in. Gonna get about 20 more seconds, Coach.
Oh, yeah. Big week this week.
Oh, yeah, huge week.
This is like putting the nail in the coffin of who's going to be who.
They already started handing out pink slips, so you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to welcome everybody to HBCU Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Rocky Miller, along with my other co-host, Mr. Stephen Campbell, the bishop, the detective, the man with the plan from FAMU. But our featured host each and every week is the man on one windy night in Itta-Benny, Mississippi, threw 6 touchdowns against Mississippi Valley and Archie the Gunslinger Cooley, Jerry Rice, and of course the satellite Totten. All right. None other than my man, Coach Johnnie Cole. Did I get it right that time, Coach?
Man, look, you always adding another touchdown to it. But that's okay. It was a great night, and like I always say, when you got good people around you, that I played with, some of my teammates, man, you can have those type of nights. But first I want to just say thanks to all the veterans, man. Thank to you, Rocky, for your service time, and thanks to all the veterans. I know I've had several brothers of mine went to the military, but it's y'all day today, man. I really want to thank you from the heart for making sure that we secure over here in the United States.
It was my pleasure. They wasn't always easy, but I was proud to do it, man. So thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Campbell, we ain't got our guest is a busy man. We ain't got much time, so we're not gonna mess around on this. Campbell, you got anything you want to say before we get?
No, let's get him on, because I saw him on the YouTube, so I got a couple of questions for him. So let's get him on.
All right. This host, I had him on my podcast, and we had a great show, one of my most viewed podcasts, man. And Coach Cole reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, why you didn't have him on the show?" I said, "Coach, we always have coaches." He said, "Well, Flood can come on. Flood can come on." So I had to get you on. I didn't want to bring you right back, but I think this is a great time of the year to bring this gentleman back. This is a guy who is a veteran media personality, has hosted sports talk shows in multiple markets across the United States, is also a Southern insider, and his most recent appointment is a SWAC TV commentator, and he does a fabulous job. I want to welcome my man, REGGIE FLOOD.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Right. First of all, Veterans Day, thank you for your service, brother. Thank all the veterans out there for their service, man. We really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, Flood, I brought you on, man, because there's so much going on in the SWAC. There's so much particularly going on at Southern. We talked about what ultimately happened this summer when you were on the podcast with me. I said, hey, I believe they kind of setting up T. Graves for failure by ranking him or putting Southern as a contender for the SWAC championship. I didn't think their offseason dictated that, and unfortunately, he's moved on to hopefully greener pastures. But I got to ask you, because you tipped off some things that surprised me, and we could just get into it like this, Flood. You said that Terrence Graves was directed to do some things. He had promised, I guess, the administrators that he'd make some changes with with how he was operating. He told him that it had been done, but it hadn't been done. Now, you broke that story after T. Graves was let go. I got to ask you, how much did that contribute into his ultimately being let go?
I think he was going to be let go anyway. I think that contributed to the immediacy of him being let go. Because, you know, if you remember that day, he did the press conference and everything. He made the appearance at the press conference, and then it was later on that day. And a lot of people had a problem with the fact that he was saying, well, they let him do the press conference and his media appearances, and then they let him go. But at the time when he was doing that, I don't think they were intending to let him go until December, after the last game, after the Bayou Classic. And I think when those things were brought to them, then they decided we just need to go ahead and just do this now and just go ahead and cut bait right now.
Now, I asked Coach Cole about this, and I guess Coach Cole can get in here because he said he's never been in that situation where he promised to do something with his staff, and he always felt like those were football decisions. What made this decision, or was this a football decision that administrators were making, or was there a particular issue going on where they wanted to make that change?
I think that, and that could be a debate, but I think it was a football decision in terms of, you know, what coach, what play call and stuff like that. It was definitely a football decision, and there was an ask for a change to be made in a football decision. I guess Coach Graves didn't want to make that change, but he didn't want to tell them no, and you know, so that was kind of the way it turned out.
Coach Cole, ultimately, you've worked for an AD many times before, or whoever the administrator. It could have been, I don't know who, because you didn't identify the person that he made that he told that he would make a change. So I'll just say this, Coach Cole, what do you think about what happened in that situation or circumstance?
Well, you know, my thing was, you know, you put this guy in a bad situation, you know, from day one for me. You know, you get rid of a coach in Dooley because they were playing bad, and then you hire a coach on the staff, which was a part of them playing. I mean, I don't know what else that you could have expected. I thought Coach Graves stepped in and did a great job last year. Of course, we know Flood, going back and looking at that season, like Rocky always say, he had a rabbit's feet, the lucky charm man. I mean, that happens only once in a lifetime, that you win that many games on last second plays, bad decisions by the other team. You know, but then again, that's a knock on, you know, who's holding these head jobs at the SWAC. I can say that.
Yeah.
Because we come out this year and, you know, we get the Southern bandwagon. It's the national championship or bus. And they forgot who's driving the bus. This guy's still working on a CDL license, you know, and I think when you do that, it's almost just like the Dallas Cowboys. I got a guy on this show now. He's a Cowboy fan right over there. Man, it's Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. You know, because they're hearing Jerry Jones, who's not a coach, who's a businessman.
Cowboys out of this, man.
And he's not a coach. He doesn't understand the day-to-day operations of what's going on, personalities and everything. And that's why it gets upset at me, Flood, when we run off and throw people in these positions, but just because you know, they've watched TV or they caught a couple passes to be able to say, you know, they can come in and get this position. So I think it was set up from day one. I know Coach Terrence got upset at me last year because I said he was the best. You know, he was the best, not necessarily Southern is the best of the worst team over there in the West. Because, you know, Flood, you've been around this game long as I have. You know, the West Side is definitely been having some issues and some problems.
Yeah.
So anyway, and the reason why I told Rocky them when they asked me, I've never been in a situation where the AD and them bringing me in saying, man, you need to let this guy call the plays, and we need to throw the ball down the football field long enough. I don't even know how they could even get in there. That's how bad it probably was.
Oh, that is how bad. I mean, because you probably never been in a situation where you were 1-6 and you wasn't scoring but 12 points a game. Those are the type of things that happen when you're 1-6 and you scoring 12 points a game.
Right. Exactly. So to me, that was writing on the wall to say, man, this was it. Unless you start turning it around and start winning. I mean, and this problem was an internal problem. It wasn't like they were killing it the year before either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've worked there. I've coached, I've worked there at Southern University under the great Pete Richardson. And, we took a football team that had 20 seniors on it and, actually went off and won the national championship our first year. You know when you got good players. As a head coach, as a coaching staff, you know when you got good players. And when you got good players, you can do that talking, because the program can only carry you for so long, or great players can only carry you you need both ingredients for a championship season. And I just didn't see that. Anytime you're struggling at the quarterback position, anytime you're struggling, you don't have no run game, it's going to be tough for you to say that we are that team. We are, as the young folks said, we are him. That wasn't the case there in that situation.
Yeah, and to Coach Gray's defense, he never had his number one quarterback play for him. I think his number one quarterback maybe played 12 plays this year, because the first game he set out for missing the bus. The next game he gets a season-ending concussion, and so he was playing musical chairs with his quarterback. You had 4 offensive linemen who returned that was on what was supposed to be a veteran offensive line who turned out not to be that good of an offensive line. You would think with the 4 offensive linemen returning, Trey Holly transferring in, you put Jalen Woods in the mix. On paper, it looks like a decent offensive team. But in actuality, they scored 12 points a game.
And you saying that the quarterback missed the bus and he missed the season?
Well, remember the first game against North Carolina Central in Atlanta, the quarterback missed the bus leaving the campus. He missed the bus. He had to meet the team in Auburn, Alabama. So he didn't play the first game. Jalen Woods didn't play the first game. I got you. So then the next game he started against Valley, which is the only win. But remember, he's sliding, he gets hit in the head. They have to cart him off the field, and Jalen Woods hasn't played since.
Wow.
That was his second or third concussion in less than a year. And so I know it was at least his second. From the records, it says it was actually his third concussion in less than a year. So Jalen Woods is now out for the year.
Wow.
He hadn't played since then. So, the guy who was supposed to be your package quarterback comes in, and now he's your starter. He isn't working out because he doesn't really fit the system, the everyday system. And then so you go to a third string guy who got in the camp 2 weeks before the season started.
I'm gonna say this. I went and seen you guys play against North Carolina Central, and I seen both kids play that game. And I don't want to start nothing. First of all, ain't no way in hell I'm leaving my quarterback anyway. Hey, look, I am serious. I remember we were leaving to go out of town, and my quarterback was starting Elvell Nelson. So I'm the last one to get on the bus. And so they said, Coach, Arvell ain't here. So, I have a team here. I said, let me tell you something. We're going to leave. If he ain't here, damn it, we leaving. I went up in my office and started finding shit to do. I said, y'all better go around there and go get this boy They put this boy on the bus.
Well, that's they say. They called for him, looked for him, delayed the bus and everything else. But he had just crossed Kappa. They had just come out the Wednesday before. They were leaving out that Thursday, and he had decided to kick it with his frat brother. That's what was said. I don't know if that's true or not. Yeah, that's what was said. But apparently they couldn't find him. Once they found him, they got him. He met him in Auburn, but Coach Gray's decision was to, not play him in that game. He was there, but he didn't play.
And the thing about it, when I know a bunch of the guys on the coaching staff, I just didn't see a guy that was a quarterback coach on that staff. And I seen two extremely good athletes. I thought the McCoy kid could run like the wind. I seen him throw some deep balls. I know some people said he can't hit the ocean with a beach ball. Then I'm gonna have to find some other ball to make sure he can get it to the people. I just thought his skills and the other kid, I thought both of them had the physical skills.
Yes.
To be more productive than they showed. You know what I mean? Again, I ain't in their camp. I think that that hurt them when that position is not right, man. It's hard winning a conference championship.
Hard winning period when you don't have a stable quarterback. I mean, at least a guy who won't lose the games for you. Yeah. At least somebody who can manage the game for you, and they haven't had that the whole season. Even with Cam McCoy, Cam can do some things even though he's limited. But when you put a quarterback who's limited inside an offense that's already limited, which we know, like you said, the year before it was limited, so it's even more limited now. And you put a guy with limited abilities, like you say, he can run, he can do some things, but if he couldn't consistently get the ball to his receivers, teams started taking away that run. And, it became a one-dimensional offense, even more one-dimensional. So,
what I didn't get, Flood, was you got a kid from LSU. Now, the Southerns of Pete Richardson with a Sharp back in the backfield.
Yeah, Jermaine
from
Sharp.
LSU. And the other kid they got out of, I think either Seattle, what is Melvin?
No, Melvin was from Melvin. Williams was from Donaldsonville. You think
right.
They might be talking about Steve Walford from California.
Yeah. But Sharp from Southern. Then they get the Holly kid from LSU just this past year. And the first half of the season, he wasn't even touching the ball over 10 times a game.
Yeah.
I'm saying you got the number one tailback probably in the league. He got to get the ball 20 times. It's just like the kid from Alabama State with pros. What's his name? God dang, it just crossed my Cromwell. Played at Alabama State. Shit, he damn near took them all the way to the championship, just giving him the ball. I didn't see that. I didn't see them saying, okay, we got a problem with our quarterback throwing for. Then we're going to have to get in some run formations, and we're going to have to get his ball to this guy for him to carry us. I didn't see that. I didn't see us revolving around what we need to do to win football games. What happened to the defense end, the Russian?
He's still there, but when you don't have anybody, when your other three defensive linemen aren't that good, and you don't really, the other members of the defense aren't really doing anything, he's still there. He has 7 sacks this year. I think it's 10 or 11 tackles for loss. He's still right there doing his thing, but now he's getting double or triple team, but nobody else on the other side is making plays.
Now Flood, when Dooley was unceremoniously let go, right, and Terrence Graves was hired, first off, I want to say thank you in this regard. You, Coach Cole, Coach Mr. Campbell, y'all have given me, I know I've only been here 5 years, but y'all have given me a SWAC education that I think gives me some context about what this league is all about in the history of the game. And your lives that you would do after the game or after announcement that Southern would make would kind of give me context, and you would explain why decisions were made within the Southern framework. One of the things that after Terrence Graves was hired, you pointed this out very, very early. You said, hey, and all of us have a little gray in our beard other than Campbell, so I don't think you were being prejudiced when you said this. You said, hey, I'm concerned about the age of the staff because recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and do 50-year-old men want to get out there and recruit the way that they have to nowadays in order to put together a competitive team. Now, this was 2 years ago you made this statement. How much do you think that contributed to what actually
a lot? And Rocky, you're being nice, because actually what I said is that they look like Fred, Bubba, and Grady when they walk out on the field. That's actually what I said. They look like Sanford and Son when they walked out on the field. They look like they was about to start chatting, we want the 3 degrees out there. But that's really what I said. But I mean, I
was being nice. I was being nice.
Yeah, you were being nice. But I think that did play a part in it, man, because like in talking to recruits and talking to people around the program, there was a age gap, you know, in terms of relating to young players, relating to young men or young people, whether it was the guys on the team or recruiting. That was.
Oh, hey, they might have cut on Flood because he was getting to the good part. So hopefully he may be having some issues. I saw him drop. But Cole, Coach Cole, we're gonna wait on him, but we can just he's back.
There we go.
Hold on. Sorry, Flood, my apologies.
There we go. We having some internet issues over here in New Orleans. So
okay.
But yeah, I was saying that you know, they were a little long in the tooth. I mean, you know, all of them. I'm a man in my 50s. I know how it feels, you know, and I consider myself a young 50-something-year-old man. And you know, those guys, that was nothing about them, just the presentation. And I don't like to judge people on their looks, but let's be real, the presentation matters. There was nothing in their presentation that said, hey, we ready to get out here and go get us some players. You know what I'm saying? We ready to go out here and hit the road. You know, we ready to go out here and make this thing happen. You know, it was nothing about them that said that. And I think that same thing came over to parents and the young people that they were recruiting, and the same thing with the team. I think they had a hard time relating. I think they thought that they related to the team, but I don't think they actually did have that kind of connection, because like Coach Cole can speak, and anybody who's played a team sport, there's a certain kind of connection that you have, especially with your coach. Your team takes on the personality of your coach. At least good teams do. Well, now I won't even say good teams. Teams, period, take on the personality of that coach in a lot of cases.
Yeah, you also said something else, Flood. You said, now this is going back 2 years ago, you said, hey, let's be honest. If a guy is getting his first head coaching job in his 50s, what does that say about him as a coach his entire career? Because most hotshot coaches get their opportunity in their late 30s, early 40s. And so when you hire a guy in his 50s, you have to ask the question, why hasn't he been a head coach?
Yeah, not a head coach, and not even an experienced coordinator. Like, you know, I mean, and that was some of the questions that were asked and will continue to be asked, because Coach Graves I think he was a coordinator maybe 1 or 2 years. I think he was a coordinator at Norfolk for 1 year, and I'm not even sure if he was a coordinator when he was at Valley, but he wasn't excuse me?
I think he was at Valley for a year.
Yeah, but even if that was just 2 years as a coordinator over a 30-year career, you're not even a really experienced coordinator. And then at 53 years old, you get your first head coaching job.
Right.
You know, you gotta take a look at that.
Well, let me say this, because I've been a head coach before. You know, my guy, I don't think necessarily the age got to do with it, as more so as like you said, the persona of who is the guy. if you look back at all the NCAA championships, those head coaches are 60, up in the 50s and 60s. Of course, you do got to have some staff that's ready to run and go out and get some kids. My only issue with what you said was, if you get a job at IBM or somewhere, do you adjust to the job or do the job adjust to you? You have to make these kids adjust to you. You got to bring the standard up, brother, about relating to the kids. I mean, again, you know what's right, and they just want information to do what you have to do for them to get where they want to get, and you got to be able to give them that information. I know some of the guys on the coaching staff, and it is right. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the swag that you have, and that's important. That's important, for some of these young kids. But I think the standard of the program, I think how you run a program, making sure that everybody understands on the program that the buck stops here. There's only one way we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it this way. And you got to make sure that every coach is on the same page. And sometimes when you hire these kind of guys, first-time guys, and they go out and hire the wrong staff, then this is what you get. I mean, when you look at the boy over at Delaware State and Michael Vick, the difference is the coaching staff.
Yes.
Both of them are great NFL football players, but it's the coaching staff that makes the difference. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And you got to know as a head coach, when you get there, when you hire your boy got to understand that when we pull up to that office, I'm now your boss. I'm not your boy no more. I'm your boss. And if you don't get – and this is an egotistical business, man. And that's why when you're choosing these head coaches, and then they're running out and going to get their boy, or they don't have the access to other coaches and find out what it takes to win in a program like Southern, y'all don't need to go out and hire another guy that's trying to get a job for the first year again, a head coaching guy. Y'all need a guy that knows. Y'all got everything. You got fans, you got fan base, you got a stadium, you got playing one of the major football games in college football. You guys need a guy that's ready to hit the floor and run it. Pete Richardson was ready to hit the floor and run it.
Yeah.
And I was a part of that staff, and I've seen it grow. Of course, I went on.
Coach, how old were you when you were on that staff, Coach?
I was 30. 29, 30, somewhere in there. Because I remember I just got married. So,
and how old was Orlando and some of those other guys?
They were older than me. They were in their 40s. They was up in their 40s. Yeah. They were
but I think even with you pointing out Pete Richardson as an example, he may have been a more mature coach, but he brought the young guys to the party with him.
But it was like you said, at 54, when Pete got the job, he had been a head coach, he had been a coordinator, he had worked up underneath some great,
I mean, he came there as being a championship level coach at Winston-Salem. Right. Yeah, he had been a defense coordinator. He had been a championship level coach at Winston-Salem. So he wasn't coming into this new to the game. He knew what it was, and he brought coaches, an eclectic group of coaches. Like Coach Cole was 30, Coach Orlando in his 40s. They were a mixed group of coaches.
See, Orlando had been a coordinator. I had been a coordinator. Fred Keiss had worked at Moore State, who everybody knows Fred Keiss now went on to the XFL. We had Sherman Simmons, who had been with them at Winston-Salem State. We had Cliff Yoshida, who had worked at Wake Forest and that did a coordinator's job at Eastern Carolina. So, we had guys that were ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Flood, and this is the last thing I'll say about that. He haven't any of these, but Flood said something that resonated with me 2 years ago, and he said this: when you've been doing something he said this, and this is the last thing I'll mention. He said, if you've been doing something for 30 years and at 50 years old, you're willing to join the staff making $50,000, how good do you believe you are as a coach? And that's the thing that resonated with me, Flood. as you know, I'm not a coach, but I have been in my career around 30.
Holiday Inn.
I've been in my field for a while.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, things got to be pretty bad if you got a guy that's been doing something 30 years and he's willing to accept the $50,000 salary for what he does. And that's what and that's when I said, wow, he got a point. He has a point. Because if a guy makes 50 and he's willing to accept that, he doesn't think very much of, you know.
Yeah, he's in some kind of desperation mode in a lot of cases.
Well, yeah, when you're looking from outside. When you look for inside, coaches don't coach mascots. They love the game of football. And the thing, and the problem is that when you get to these HBCU schools, they don't want to pay their assistant coaches. They'll give a head coach of $400,000. How can one coach, the head coach, make $400,000 and his staff making $45,000? That don't even make sense.
Why would you? The question is, why would you work for a guy like that?
Because one, I want to coach football. Two, I might be at that time getting my Social Security or getting another check from the outside to put both of it together so I can coach. You see what I'm saying? So some coaches that's probably older than 50.
These are full-time coaches, Coach Cole.
That's what I'm saying. But they getting the Social Security check or they getting the disability check to add to that.
Not as a full-time coach. Not as a full-time employee.
There's coaches that got wives that make money.
Now that may be the case.
Just holding things down while I'm coaching. I mean, where else you gonna get them from, Go? What's the difference from the young guy making 50 and the older guy making 50?
Oh, a big difference.
50.
Yeah, but it's a big difference.
You still gotta get an apartment.
Making $50,000 as a young coach at 27, 28 years old on the come up, on the rise, is a big difference from being 55, 56, 57 years old, making $50,000 coaching. Your career is at the end. And you still, there's a big, big difference in that, Coach.
We can talk, Coach. I get what you saying at regular jobs, but I don't get that what you saying as being a football coach, because that just ain't the truth. Look at all the Division II schools. At Lane College, I was only making $75,000. Hell, I was in my 40s then, and then I was paying coaches $25,000, $35,000.
Coach, that was
I guarantee you, we bring coaches on this staff, these Division II and Division I coaches. Y'all would be amazed at how much money these guys.
Oh, I wouldn't be, but that coach, we're talking about Division II. I get that. But when we're talking about Division I football, and you're talking about
in black college.
But let me tell you something. FCS level HBCUs pay on average higher than their FCS counterparts. See, that's what I'm saying. When we start talking comparisons, let's compare them to the peer schools. Let's compare Southern to McNeese. Let's compare Southern to Southeastern Louisiana. We're not comparing them. We're not comparing them to the LSUs and the schools like that. We're comparing them to let's compare to the peer schools. And salary-wise, including assistants, the HBCUs are on par or above par their FCS counterparts.
Are we saying the money is bad, or are we saying because the guy accepts the money, he must be a bad coach?
I'm saying it's a little bit of both.
You got to get in here and say, because you the man with the plan. What does it say about a guy who's 50 years old, been coaching 30 years, and he's not first of all, he's not a coordinator. He's a position guy, and he's willing to accept $50,000, $60,000 as a salary for something he's been doing 30 years.
I need to get on the phone and call a coach in here to let y'all know, man, y'all are far off, man. And these HBCU schools paying $50,000.
But it's not an HBCU thing, Coach. That's why when you look at the staffs of places like Southeastern or McNeese or Nicholls State, you see a bunch of coaches who are under 45 who are as the assistants. You don't see a bunch of older people on their staff because the older coaches are either moving on, either they're moved on. If their reputation isn't that good, they're gone down to D2, or they moved on to high school or somewhere like that. You don't see if you look on these staffs or a lot of these FCS Division I programs where the coaches are making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. You don't see a lot of older coaches on those staffs. You see a lot of young guys who are on the come up, who are still hungry.
I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that point, but I will argue the point that because a coach is older and he's accepted a job making $50,000, don't mean that he's a bad coach.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Coach. But you can agree that he's not demanding a salary of what a elite coach would demand, right?
Right, but if he wants to coach, if he wants to continue coaching at that age,
guys who can coach, guys who that can really coach, I don't think they try to. Anyway, I don't want to make this about the 50,000, but I think as a coach or whatever it is, whatever your career is, right? Mm-hmm. You get what you're worth.
I disagree with that at these HBCU schools. I'm just saying because that's where I've been at. That's what I know. There ain't nobody getting no great salaries at these places. And here's the other thing that I think you guys need to take into consideration. You get a block of money to pay your assistants, all right? To be able to have what you need, you got to be able to break that down. And you got to be able to find those guys who will take that money to either continue to coach to move on or to have all the positions that you need to have a successful program. I've seen it. I've done it. Now, whether he's 50, I hired a guy when I was in Lane. I couldn't have been paying him Flood $40,000, $42,000. This was back in mid 2000s. $42,000 offensive line coach. You know, because we couldn't pay him because we're not getting the dollars that we need.
Okay, well today, what is that coach making today? That same offensive line coach, where is he and what he's making?
I think he was an older guy. I don't even think he even coaching anymore. I'm not sure.
So I guess my point is, and we can move on from this. I don't want to belabor this. I just think I thought Flood brought up a good point that if you are a hot shot coach, if you're a guy that's elite in your craft, you're the first one that knows that, and you will demand a certain salary that is commensurate with your skill level. That's all I was simply saying. But I like I say, Flood. But I also wanted to bring up this, Flood. You are one of the, I guess, in the inaugural season of SWAC TV, you're one of the guys who have called live games for SWAC TV. Can you
very first football game on there?
Oh man, can you tell me about that experience and what you think? If you know where SWAC TV is going?
SWAC, I'm telling you, man, the ceiling is unlimited for SWAC TV. It could go into a lot of places. I know the ultimate goal is to have SEC type network for the SWAC, a SWAC network with SWAC. That's the ultimate goal. But and as we've gone through this inaugural season, you've seen the broadcast get better. Less glitches, less less things are going on in terms of the technical aspect of it. I think we have a good group of talent that calls the games and stuff. They try to keep it entertaining. And as it becomes a better production, which we've seen it happen week after week, the production has gotten better. I think the limit is unlimited where SWAC TV can go. And I love to see the day when there is a SWAC network you can get the SWAC network on your cable, right there, channel 80, 85, right after the 82 is the SEC network and 84 is the ACC and the 85 is the SWAC network on all your cable services, channel. So
I want to congratulate you too, man. I tell you, that's one of my best channels on Sunday, man. It gives me an opportunity to wake up in the morning and catch all the SWAC games. And the only thing I ask is, do they I think some people don't realize that you could just pull it up, as an app.
Yes.
And I don't know if they're doing it, if they promoted a little more of you can get SWAC TV, or they might are, because I'm way over here in Arizona. But because a lot of my friends are like, man, what you doing? I said, I'm watching SWAC TV. What you mean? I said, well, you can get it on your own TV.
You can pull it up on Roku. You can pull it up as an app on your smart TV, on your smartphone, on any of your devices. You can you can pull it up, SWAC TV.
I mean, that's big time, man. I take my hat off to the commissioner and the SWAC as a whole, man. That could be really, really, really helpful financially, right, for the conference.
Yes, and that's the point, to be able to give another platform for advertisers, for sponsors. As many platforms as you can give them, then they want them. And that's more that the SWAC can sell it, a better way for the SWAC to sell itself and to sell its advertisers and stuff. So it's a smart move.
My understanding is the more people get the app and get those numbers up, the more now you can go out and get commercials and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, more advertisers, more sponsors you can bring in. All about the eye, who's watching, how many people are hitting that app. And then that's when the advertising dollars, that's when the sponsorship dollars come in. So that's the key. Everybody download the app, and then eventually, that can evolve into so many other things.
As talent, are you guys privy to any analytic data as talent on the channel?
Yes, so some of us are. So we can get that data if we ask for it.
Because I was wondering, one of the complaints, I guess, that people are having is that they have games scheduled simultaneously, and it almost seems like if they were working on a network schedule, they would stagger the games where it would be one game at a time. And the reason why I was saying that, do you know when they're having games scheduled all at one time, does the analytics justify that? Or do you think a staggered schedule would improve that?
That I can't tell you about the analytics, because I don't really know. I don't really know what's the reasoning for that. I think part of it too, maybe because of the way it was brought about, is really the school driven in a lot of cases. So they're not. It hadn't gotten to the point where they can start making adjustments or telling schools where to make adjustments in their timing of the schedule. It's the school. It's basically what they're doing is saying, we're going to show the game where the school has it scheduled at this point. That may change next season. That may change sometime in the near future, where they're actually going and they're scheduling. We're going to have a 12 o'clock game. We're going to have a 3 o'clock game, and we're going to have a 6 o'clock game. But the effort is for every SWAC game, every SWAC broadcast, because the thing I want people to understand is not just football that's being broadcast. There's volleyball, there's bowling. All SWAC sports are broadcast on SWAC TV.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had an opportunity to work with HBCU TV Go, and I was just asking, we had a production team that put everything, but and when you said, of course, I'm seeing everybody is on SWAC. Do you guys have that, or they run it from the campus?
No, we have a production team. It's three. Matter of fact, it's 3 separate production teams that runs the broadcast.
Right. So y'all do 3 games a weekend.
It's every SWAC game that's not either on a network, on a major network, or every SWAC game that isn't on HBCU Go or one of the other networks by contract. Every other SWAC game is on SWAC TV.
Right. Okay. They run everything from the trucks.
So
yeah, everything's on SWAC TV.
So Reggie, I noticed that you were in Huntsville last week.
Yes.
You were in Inabita earlier in the year.
Yep.
Are they doing it? Are they doing it by region? Or are they scheduling you guys because you live in a certain footprint, or because it seems like the same guys do the TSU Prairie View games, and then the guys
Well, that's the luxury of being the boss. That's why
okay.
you have the same guys doing pretty much the same guys doing the Texas games, because that's where the boss lives.
Okay.
The guy who is our programmer, the great Butch Alcindor, he lives in Houston. He's a Houston guy, so that's why and he actually started out as Texas Southern's play-by-play, and right. that was as their television broadcast team. So that's his home team. So that's why you pretty much see them doing most of the Texas Southern games. But for guys like me who are, I get in where I fit in. So I've been to Alcorn and been to Lorman. I've been to Mississippi Valley, like you said, and this week I was in Huntsville.
And do you still have games scheduled this year?
No, I don't have any more scheduled right as of now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any more scheduled.
So you're going to basketball season as well, right?
That's what I'm hoping to move on to basketball. I haven't gotten word on that yet, but I'm hoping to.
I got you.
Well, that's cool, man. Again, it was funny because you didn't make a big announcement about being on SWAC TV. I just tuned into a game and recognized your voice. Was that on purpose? Did they ask you guys not to do that, or?
No, that was by my choice. I just, sometimes you have to be quiet and just let things play out. Sometimes you have to make noise. So, that was one of those things I was quiet about.
Yeah.
You thought he was gonna bum out, man.
I was never worried about that, coach. That's one thing y'all never have to worry about when it comes to this TV and this radio. You'll never have to worry about me bombing out on that. If I can do one thing, I'm cute and I can talk. So I ain't worried about bombing out. I'm handsome and I can talk, coach. So now I'm not gonna bomb out doing that.
See, this is what we need. He needs to be the head coach of Southern.
So last thing before we get out of here, Flood, man, because we gotta have it. I know you're on a short time, but I was gonna get you to give me the history of brawls in the SWAC, but I'll let Coach Cole give us the history of brawls. But I did want to talk about what is the profile of the next Southern coach? Like, in my opinion, I'll just give you quickly my opinion. My opinion that Southern is not the job that a guy should be learning how to be a head coach on. He should come in that he has a plan that's already been executed and he already knows that it works. With that being said, what is the profile of the guy that will be the next Southern coach, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think it's going to be a guy who is a championship level coach or coordinator already, somebody who is up and coming, who is somebody who is willing to get out on the road and recruit and go get players, somebody who is experienced but not over the hill. You get what I'm saying? Somebody who's experienced, who's still a go-getter, who's a championship level coach, or at least a coordinator. But I'm thinking right now it's probably going to be someone who is already a head coach. In my opinion, this is my opinion on it, I think Southern should just play bully ball. Just go in and take somebody's coach. If they're willing to listen, just go in and take somebody's coach. That's what I think.
Now, the reality is with that profile that you just mentioned, there's only a few guys that qualify. And I can name the 4 guys that qualify right now: Chinnisberry, Trey Oliver, Tremaine Jackson, and T.C. Taylor. Are you saying that, in your opinion, they should look at not those guys, but guys like those guys and just take their coach?
Yep. Yep.
You're going to have some upset fan bases.
I mean, that's what I think.
Wow.
Go and get you some guys, get you 3 or 4 guys that you can focus on who are championship level coaches who've shown they can win. Go out there, and if they're willing to talk, get them.
Now I know you're not a big celebrity coach guy, and that's how I started following your content, because you were the ones after Dion was announced the head coach, you were the ones that were openly thought it was going to be an abject failure, and you thought it wasn't going to work in the SWAC. Turns out, we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, he won games. He came in and he did what he said he was going to do, no doubt. But my thing wasn't about him being a failure on the field. I thought he would have success. My thing was about the long-term effect of somebody like Deion and having this experiment over and over again, trying to recapture that and the effect that it have on HBCU football. Because I felt like Deion to me is like Donald Trump. He's a cult of personality. And I think we've seen that. And it's hard to capture that, someone can't recapture that when someone's a cult of personality. He's Deion Sanders. He brought his own quarterback. Like somebody said, he brought his own quarterback. He had the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame career, but not just the Hall of Fame career. He was still in the face of young people. He was still selling. He was still out there. He was still, he still had the swag. So he brought a superstar level to Jackson State, and he brought that code of personality with him, and it worked out for Jackson State. Hey, Ashley Robinson threw the Hail Mary, and it worked. He is literally the Doug Flutie of athletic directors. He is literally the Doug Flutie of athletic directors.
You're talking about Campbell's homeboy, so I'm gonna step back.
And that's no disrespect to Ashley, but we know Doug Flutie because Doug Flutie threw the Hail Mary. We know Ashley Robinson because he took a chance. Right now, we could freshen up the language and say he stepped out. He thought outside of the box. He took a chance. He went out. He got there. But the fact was, it was a Hail Mary that worked, and kudos to him because his work done wonders for Jackson State. So shouts out to him. But I don't think that you can keep throwing Hail Marys and expecting them to work. I think that you have to really put some thought into it and really put some effort. And we've seen, I think, though, the foundation Ashley Robinson laid, Prime was able to build on that foundation that he laid. And then now we're seeing that flourish for Jackson State with TC Taylor. But I think Ashley Robinson is the one who actually laid the foundation for Coach Prime to be successful. Or should I say Coach Sanders to be successful?
Hey, Campbell, I know you had a couple of things you wanted to talk to Flood about before you got out of here.
Well, I'm going to tell you what's funny. And Flood, I know we're all around the same age, but see, my problem with that Doug Flutie analogy about known for the Hail Mary, Doug Flutie won a Heisman. So one play did not make his career. And he was a great player I agree with you. You make that point, because I agree with you. So wait a minute, hold on. Now you did your southern side. I'm about to bring this back. Because while you say one play, and that's what he's known for, I would say Ashley Robinson's career set him up to be able to make a decision like that because he made another decision with Willie Simmons and see how that kind of turned out. So when you kind of know what you're doing, you know when to call the right play and who to call it for. So while you might think it's a Hail Mary, I might think you know what you're doing because what you guys have been doing is the old way, and it damn sure ain't been working out. So maybe you might need to try to Hail Mary down in Southern.
I agree. You don't have to come at me, baby. I know you're trying to make a show, but you don't have to come at me. I agree with you. It's like you took one part of what I said to make your point without listening to everything else that I said.
Well, no, I know.
The Deion Sanders hire was in fact a Hail Mary. You went and hired a guy who had never coached, who had barely been a high school coordinator, and that was a Hail Mary. That's not saying that wasn't a calculated decision. A lot of times, Hail Marys are calculated decisions. Doug Flutie did win a Heisman, but nobody knows Doug Flutie as the Heisman guy. They know him as the Hail Mary guy. Doug Flutie was a great player. That's why he won the Heisman. But nobody remembers that. They remember that Doug Flutie threw the Hail Mary to Gerald Phelan. But that's not a bad thing. It worked.
No. See, that's what I'm saying. You're not listening to me. The person that made the decision was Ashley Robinson, not Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders just show up. The AD was the one that did it.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree. Like I said, Ashley laid the foundation. I said Ashley laid the foundation for Coach Sanders to be successful.
Right.
That's what I said.
So what my point is when, and this is what you said, because I did hear you, is when you make it minimize, because that's what you did to Doug Flutie. You minimize his career to one pass. That's what you did.
Well, I didn't minimize, but that's what people know him for.
But that's not why he won the Heisman. He won the Heisman because he had a great season.
I agree with you,
Okay.
but that's not what people know him for.
Okay.
I agree with you.
No, it's fine. But I did want to bring up something because I am about to ask you a question. Because I like you and I see something. So I'm getting ready to share my screen, right? And I want you to address something because I saw something that you said, and I want to get clarity because I am a Florida A&M Rattler.
Yes.
My daughter went to Bethune, and you made a question. So I'm gonna pull this up, and I want you to explain this so I don't get misinterpreted. You know what I'm saying? Because I was getting in my feelings a little bit when I saw this. Hold on one second. And I think this is so this is your podcast, Inside the Game. This is what you do every week, I'm assuming.
Yeah, this is the weekly show.
Okay, great. So I watched this great show. Okay, let's see here. All right, there we go. So we're getting ready to play this, and this is a question that was asked about the commissioner and what kind of job he was doing. Okay, and this is what you said. And
is this the SWAC commissioner?
Yeah,
yes,
the SWAC commissioner.
They asked me about the SWAC commissioner. I know he's about to play.
Yeah, you know what I'm about to play. Here we go.
Overall, just as a commissioner, how do you think he's doing? And the fight just always adds to like people talking about his job. So I'm just wondering from your perspective.
I think he's doing an excellent job as a commissioner. And I think the only people who have issue with how he does it's three groups of people. The two teams who just joined the SWAC, who they cry about everything, and we all know who the third one is. I won't even call his name, but I don't take him seriously. But I think the commissioner is doing an excellent job. I think that he has some missteps maybe, but that's a part of it. That's literally a part of the job. He's literally creating something.
All right. So I saw that, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out, because I went to FAMU. I'm a SWAC guy. I was the person who was very excited to come SWAC. I need to know when Bethune-Cookman and FAMU been crying about the commissioner.
Man, FAMU fans cry. Not you in particular, because you're a SWAC guy. You've been around the SWAC. But a lot of FAMU fans cry and moan about the commissioner.
Like, about what, Flood? Exactly what? About
any why the commissioner suspend the announcer? Why the commissioner do this? Why it's always something. Like it's always something. And you know what? And I'll say this: it may not be a vast majority of FAMU fans, but like with any fan base, it's always going to be the squeaky wheel that gets noticed. It's always going to be the vocal minority who gets noticed.
So let me get this straight. So we've been in SWAC 5 years. 5 years.
Right.
And because he suspended a guy for 2 games that made a bad joke, but didn't suspend players for 1 year. But we complained about the commissioner. One time makes us complain about the commissioner. Now, Flood, come on now.
I'm not just talking about one thing. And like I said, it's a small minority of fans who make the most noise about complaints about just the conference in general. And it's a small minority.
Let me ask you a question. The person that was left to be not named, okay? So, because you didn't want to name, so we won't name. But I'm just curious if somebody, because I think there's a difference between criticizing the commissioner and making a critique. Because I give you an example, because he saw what I said. And I know you know this. I'm going to ask you a question. There was a discussion about them having a SWAC classic between Southern Jack State and Birmingham.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And he made this thing. And I said on wax, that ain't happening. I said, Jack State is not going to go to Birmingham, and Southern not going to go to Birmingham. We didn't go home and home. Guess what y'all end up doing? Going home and home. Now, people might say this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.